welcome to Stacking the Shelves. And I'm grinning because this is going to be a really long one. I was thinking about actually splitting this up into 2 videos, but I think I'm going to try to just go through this fast. Again, I am trying this new microphone. I can't actually figure out if it's working. Things sound okay when I play it back, so maybe it is working, maybe it's not. I don't know. Let me know if you think this sounds better than normal. I was having some issues with sound, and so I thought maybe a mic would help with that. Okay, so getting in Stacking Shelves. If you want a life update, I did that for my best books of October and November. You can check around 4 minutes in, 6 minutes in, something like that on that post for that. For this one, I'm just gonna go on through. I have 6 review books, 13 audiobooks, and 9 books I borrowed from either the Kindle Unlimited or library. So here we go. The first book I got for review is The Martian Conspiracy, which is the 4th book in the Lady Astronaut series by Mary Robinette Cowell. This is a alternate history series where humans went to the moon, or just space in general. They ended up settling Mars in like the 1950s. And it was kind of triggered because of some damage that was done to the Earth. It follows a woman who wants to be an astronaut really badly. She's a pilot, and she does get to do that. Her husband is also in the astronaut program. So very excited to see what happens in the Martian contingency. This book has been a long time coming, and hopefully it'll be good. The next book I got for review is When the Moon Hits Your Eye by Jan Scalzi. I got this because it's a Scalzi book, and I read almost all of Scalzi's book. The premise here is that the moon turns to cheese. So yeah, we'll see how that one is. That one comes out March 25th. I should also say the first one comes out March 18th. Okay, third book I got for review is Upon a Starlit Tide by Kel Woods. This is described as a dark fairy tale that combines the elements of The Little Mermaid and Cinderella. It's set in Brittany in 1758. I love dark fairy tale retellings, and so that's why I request this one for review, and it comes out in February. And all of these I got through a review from NetGalley. So, all right, fourth one I got for review is The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune. This is TJ Klune book. I usually read all of his books as well. So there you go. That's why I got that one. This is supposed to be a thriller about a young girl with strange powers, her father, and a stranger that ends up interacting with them both. This comes out in February. The next one I got is already out, and that is Compass Points, which is the first book in the Compass Points, I believe it's a trilogy, by Gillian Witt. I requested this before I knew this was on Kindle Unlimited. It's a romantic fantasy about a magical weapons master, Rose, who has to fake date a Fae leader to save the world. It sounds like it's kind of a funny romantasy, and strangely, the sun is coming through my window at an exact angle that's hitting my face. So, that's kind of weird for lighting, but there you go. And then the last book I got for review is The Bane Witch by Ava Morgan. This is described as practical magic meets Gone Girl. It's about a woman who fakes her death to escape a bad marriage, and she ends up finding that she's a poison eater that comes from a long line of Bane witches. That one comes out, I didn't put down when that comes out, but probably in March would be my guess. All right, so I have a lot of audiobooks to go through. Part of this is because I did finally reactivate my Audible account. I have been going without an Audible account despite the number of audiobooks that we've been reading. I've been getting them mostly from the library and for review, but that's just not working very well. A lot of the review ones I've been getting, I don't really enjoy that much, or the quality is not very good, and then getting them from the library can be tough because I don't commute into work real regularly, and because we're going up to Duluth on like weekends, we will listen to them for that drive, but you only get them for 3 weeks from the library, and if they're longer than like 10 hours, I can't get through them in 10 weeks. So we did reactivate our Audible account, and the result of that was that I went through kind of my wish list and went to see which ones are free from Audible when you have an account, and I got all of those. So there's a lot here. The first one I got was from the library, and that's Heartless Hunter, The Crimson Moth Book 1 by Christine Cicciarelli. I don't know if I said that right. A lot of these I can do little mini reviews for. I did not like this one. It was very typical young adult fantasy. It was incredibly predictable, very cliche, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like how predictable it was. I was not a fan. And I do a review for that on my blog if you want to go search it out. The second one I also got from the library, and that was How Far the Light Reaches by Sabrina Imbler. My family and I did listen to this one on the way out to Gamehole Con. This was advertised as like a science book about sea creatures. It was not that at all. It basically talks a little bit about a sea creature in a chapter and then compares that to the author finding her way in life. And it's a lot about her alcohol, drug use, promiscuity, and finding out that she's gay. So it was not at all what we thought it was going to be. And honestly, I didn't like it. I think that it could have been better done, and the balance between cool facts about sea creatures and learning about that and like the parallel to the author's own life, it just started to weigh too heavily to the author's life, like her talking about herself and spending a little bit too much time. Because I didn't think that's what it won some science awards and stuff, and it didn't seem very scientific to me. I mean, she's a science journalist, but like the background isn't there. And as a family of scientists, like we didn't like it. My husband and son hated it. I understood what the author was trying to do, but I just thought it wasn't done very well. All right, I'm going to shut up about that. The next one we listened to, this was on the way back from Gamehole Con, was The Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa. This was okay. It's about a magical cat who takes this boy who's down on his luck and teaches him the importance of books and keeping the store open and finding his own way in life and friendship and all that. It really was kind of a weird book because I think it's aimed more at like a middle grade audience, but some of the things in the book were a little bit more adult. So it was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was a nice short little audiobook to listen to while we were driving. The next audiobook, I kind of struck out on a lot of audiobooks in a row here. So it's part of the other reason we activated the audiobook out, because the ones I was getting from the library, I was just like, ugh. The next audiobook I read was The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. This is part of the King Killer Chronicles. It's like a novella in that series by the author's own admission. If you haven't read that series, you probably wouldn't understand what's going on here. And I had not read that series, but hearing this was a wonderful novella. He also said that this was not a typical story, and he's right, it's not. It's about a girl from the main story who wanders around and does the things she does underground in her day-to-day life. And that's pretty much it. It's very beautifully written. It's an interesting look into this character that I knew nothing about, and I should have listened to the preface and probably not read this. Although I did find it strangely endearing just by how much this girl cares about like the inanimate objects around her and how much she cares about order and things like that. It was kind of fascinating, but was not something anybody in my family really enjoyed. This was when I started listening to with my husband, and he was like, I am not listening to this. And I was like, okay, and I finished on my own. All right. And then on to two more audiobooks that were actually DNFs. Like I did not finish either of these. The first one was Nine Fox Gambit, the first book in Bashir News of Empire by Yoon Ha Lee. This was crazy town. Like, I don't even know what was going on here. It's about a lady who's leading a military operation, and she does something that's out of protocol, and because of that, she gets matched up with this madman who gets put into her head, and he's going to help her like save the universe from this thing that's happening. But the mechanics behind this world are very confusing. They're a combination of complex mathematics and like rituals. And I'm sorry, this maybe is just above my head, but usually I found that if things are like, I really don't understand them, it's because they're really not explained well. Because I understand stuff pretty well when people explain it decently. This was just confusing as heck. And me and my husband listened to like the first 25% of it, and we were just like, this is crazy. We don't want to listen to it anymore. So, you know, I'm sure this reminds me of something that would have a really like diehard following, because if you really want to spend time digging into the mathematics and the rituals and trying to piece it all together, then it could be really, really awesome in a cult-like way, but this was not for me. Then the next one that I also did not finish was Warcross by Marie Lu. This is set in a near future kind of sci-fi thing where things aren't going real great in the world, but they're also not growing horribly. And there's this game called like augmented reality or virtual reality game called Warcross that a lot of people are playing. And our main protagonist, she accidentally hacks into like the opening ceremony of this big Warcraft tournament, and because she does that, she gets called by the maker of the game to come work for him, and he's trying to hunt down a traitor. There's a lot of things I didn't like about this. I did listen to my husband and I listened to like the first 50% of it, but it was so predictable. The dialogue between characters was so corny and awkward sounding. And there were just a lot in here that didn't make a lot of sense. Like they're talking about how expensive apartment prices are in New York City, and they're like $1,000 a month. And I'm like, seriously? Like if you could get an apartment for $1,000 a month in New York City, you'd be sitting pretty. Like this is ridiculous. That I don't know. There's just a lot, and it seemed very strangely dated and also very predictable, and just a lot of young adult cliches. I don't know. I feel like I said similar things about Hot List Hunter. Maybe I'm just not a young adult book reader anymore or something, or I've read too much of it and everything seems predictable and cliched and just old to me in that genre. I don't know, but this was not, it was not good. All right, now on to a whole bunch that I have not read for audiobooks. The next one is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rochio. I know I said that wrong. This is a science fiction about a man named Hadrian Marlowe. He's both revered as a hero and a murderer. This is supposed to be kind of his tale, is how he got to that point. It's supposed to be a very wonderful merging of space opera and epic fantasy. So, you know, excited to read that, I guess. It was one of the ones that I could get for free on Audible. The next one is A Wizard of Earthsea. This is something I wanted to read forever. It's very famous, but I never read it for some reason or another. And this is a story of the great sorcerer Ged and how he went from being the reckless youth known as Sparrowhawk to becoming this powerful sorcerer. And I'm going to take just a moment here and block the sun. Hold on. Because it is getting in my face. All right. The next one, which I'm actually listening to right now, is Sisters of the Vast Black by Lina Rather. This is about a group of nuns who are taking care of a living spaceship in space, and they're getting involved in some politics around like a plague and like things like that. I just started listening to it. It seems okay. I'm having a little trouble keeping the sisters straight, but the next one I got for audiobook, I also borrowed from Audible, and that's Passing by Nella Larson. I've had this one on my list to listen to for quite a while, and this is about a Black woman named Irene who cuts ties with her past to pass as a white woman in the 1920s. This is kind of a classic that I've wanted to read, kind of like Wizard of Earthsea, a classic that I wanted to read for a while. The next one I have on there is a shorter audiobook called The Only Harmless Great Thing. This sounds more like a historical fiction of some sort. I'm not even really sure, but I'm putting it on my list to read. For some reason, I'm in the past, who knows. This is about two events that end up tying together. One is female factory workers that are dying of radiation poison, and the other one is about an Indian elephant that's being killed by electrocution, and somehow those tie together. I don't know. Don't ask me. The next one I got, I also borrowed from Audible, and that's Kaiju Battle Surgeon by Matt Dinniman. We wanted to read another Matt Dinniman novel because we like Dungeon Carl so much, and this is supposed to be a lit RPG horror survival story. It's very long, so we will probably start it after the current one we're listening to, which is the next book I'm going to talk about. And that is Domestication, which is Battle Mage Farmer Book 1 by Seth Ring. This is an RPG about a battle mage who gets a quest to retire and become a farmer. And so he goes to do that, and as a farmer, he's like reducing his doom points, so he's trying to prevent the apocalypse, but things are going on that are a little bit odd. It's been okay so far. I think we're about a third of the way through that, and it's been a little slow, but also still kind of funny. We're just trying to find things that me and my husband both like to listen to when we're driving back and forth to Duluth, so trying that one out. All right, so those were the 13 audiobooks I got, and then there were 9 books from the library in Kindle Unlimited. The first one is from the library, and that is The Practice, the Horizon, and the Chain by Sofia Samatar. I actually really like this. It's about kind of a mobile planet almost, where you have people that are living, like they're humans that are chained and enslaved in the core to like make the planet run. And then on the surface, you have an academic community that's studying space and things. And one of the academics raises up this boy from the core who is an excellent artist, and she wants to train him and educate him, and there are ramifications to that. And it's a very short novella, but I really thought it packed a lot of interesting ideas and kind of an interesting world into this small novella, so I liked it more than I thought I was going to. All right, the second one was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This was an interesting book about a girl who's working as a maid who has access to magical powers, but it's in Spain during the witch hunts, so she's trying to hide that. But she ends up paired up with a familiar, a man who has been pledged to serve a different family for his whole life, and he magically can't be killed, and she's trying to win a contest to become like the next great holy person for the king. Of course, that involves displays of magic, which are also being prosecuted. So she has to prove that they're acts of God, not acts of the devil, basically. So holy magic, not evil magic. It was a really interesting book, very different from a lot of other of Bardugo's books, but I liked it. I didn't love it, I liked it. So, The next one I got from the library as well, and that is I Tearfully Refuse by Leif Inger. I got this one for a couple reasons. It's post-apocalyptic, kind of slow decline, post-apocalyptic. It's set on the shores of Lake Superior, which, I'm kind of into that right now, since we're in the process of moving to Duluth. And it was an interesting book. It's about a future Earth where things are they're wrong. They're not like zombies eating brains, infections have killed the whole world wrong, but they're wrong. Like the political leaders in America haven't been great. There's now an astronaut class, so a solid aristocracy that has access to medicine and food, and then there's everyone else in the nation who does not have as much access to food. Violence against women is way up. There's a lot of things going on where corporations are allowed to basically indenture people for work for a set amount of time, and some people are trying to flee that situation and go up into Canada. And this guy who plays a bass guitar in a music band, and his wife who is a bookstore owner, they end up they rent out a room in their house to this guy who ends up to be a fleeing immigrant, or a fleeing corporation. I don't even know how to say it. Like a corporation enslaved person who got free. So he's kind of like, what did they call it? It wasn't like a migrant or an alien or whatever. It was like, they had a different name for it, where you flee this corporation type atmosphere and try to get up in Canada. And at first they kind of suspect that that's his situation, but they don't realize it. And because of all of this, the main guy, his whole life pretty much falls apart, and he ends up fleeing in his sailboat onto Lake Superior during the fall, which is not a good time to be on Lake Superior. There's a lot of storms that go through, and it kind of is him like both trying to outrun the people who are hunting down this guy that he sheltered accidentally, but also him trying to find a sense of community and like a purpose to his life. And it was good. I liked it. I don't know, it went a little slow. It got a little repetitive, and like a lot of these books, I didn't feel like it had a very good ending or conclusion. It does have a lot of political parallels to what we're going through in the United States, so if you read it with that, I think part of my issue with this is I was reading this book, I finished it like on election night, and there are a lot of parallels. I'll just put it like that. Okay, moving on. The next one I got from the library is The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Bannon. This is the second book in the Heart and Mercy series. I really love this book. I talked about it in my best books of October and November, so I'm not going to talk about a lot here. It's a fantasy book. It's a lot of fun. This is very humor, fantasy romance with some action and magic, and I really enjoyed it. I did get this book called The Shoestring Theory by Mariana Costa. I read like 2 chapters of it and then returned it, and I probably shouldn't even have it on this list. I could not get that writing style. I was just having to reread stuff over and over and over, and finally was like, you know what? This isn't gonna happen. And I returned to the library. I did get Somewhere Beyond This. Okay, wait, I'm skipping ahead, but I did get Somewhere Beyond the Sea, the second book in the Cerulean Chronicles by T.J. Klune. I'm reading that right now. It's been very good. I think I'm about 20% of the way through it. I also got Iron Flame, the Imperium Book 2 by Rebecca Yarros. This was free through Kindle Unlimited right now, so if you're reading that series, they just moved it over from like purchases it to free because I think it's Onyx Flame or Onyx something is coming out this month, next month. Coming out soon. So they moved Iron Flame to be a free Kindle Unlimited book. If you want to do that, that is epic fantasy romance, kind of, I'd say new adult maybe. And then 2 more, and we're getting really long here. The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Naylor I got from the library. This is a near future thriller about humanity finds a species of hyper-intelligent octopus. Humanity thinks that this group of octopuses, however you want to say it, hold the key to breakthroughs for extra human intelligence, but nobody really thought to talk to the octopuses about it. So that's what that's about. And then I did get Lost Ark Dreaming by Suyu Davies Okumbawa. And I'm sorry if I said that wrong. This is a shorter book I got from the library. It's described as Snowpiercer meets the deep. Follows 3 characters who live in a post-apocalyptic future off the coast of West Africa, where the rise of the Atlantic Ocean has led to towers, like the tops of skyscrapers that affluent people live in, and then those who live below. And the dead from below are being reawakened by an ancient power and are seeking vengeance. So, you know. There you go. Those are all the books I got. As I said, there was, let's see, 19 plus 9. 38 of them, a lot of them being audiobooks, which is just because I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff from Audible that I will work my way through. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap this up because it's getting long. So those are the books I got in the last, like, I don't know, 6 weeks, couple months. I'm not gonna promise to do these posts more frequently. As I described in my best books of October and November, things have been insane, and I am kind of just trying to make it at this point. So I hope you guys had a great whatever month or 2 of reading, and I will talk to you hopefully in January or December, both for best books of December and January and stacking the shelves and things like that. But either way, it's nice being able to just post something about the books I have read, am looking forward to reading, and I hope you guys have a great couple weeks of reading ahead of you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.